Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are having a good day. Jeremiah chapter 1 says, "The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. Before you came out of the womb, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet unto the nations. Then said I, Ah, Lord, behold, I can't speak, for I am a child. But the Lord said to me, Do not say I am a child, for you shall go to all that I send you, and wherever I command you, you shall speak. Do not be afraid of their faces, for I am with you to deliver you." Then the Lord put his hand on my mouth, and he said, "Behold, I have put my words in your mouth." This scripture is empowering. This scripture is about faith. The three most important things, if I were to ever share anything with anyone, is these three ingredients for which everything that exists hangs upon. The three ingredients are faith, hope, and love. Faith is to believe in all things. Hope is to look into the infinite and see all possibilities. And love encompasses those two things, but also holds up all things. That's the difference between love, faith, and hope. Love literally is the fabric on which everything is built. Faith is to be able to see, to be able to visualize that which has not yet been visible. And hope opens that canvas for us to be able to see all possibilities. So faith is built on hope. If you don't have any hope, you will have no faith. Hope is the first thing that comes. To be hopeful, to know that it's possible. And faith says, no, it's not just possible. It's real and it will happen. But love says, I hold all these things. I hold up everything that is right now, that will be in the future, that has been in the past. I am the fabric on which everything is built so that you could have hope, so that you could have faith. Now, you don't have to have that kind of faith, but you may have the hope. And the weird thing is, because of love, you can have that faith. If you have the hope, that's the precursor to having the faith, even though you don't have it as yet. It's possible. All right, let me show you what I'm talking about. So Jeremiah, God starts off speaking to Jeremiah in a very, not just a hopeful voice, but in a faithful voice. He said something that only faith could give. He said, before I even considered forming you, before you were born, before you were conceived, I already ordained you to prophesy. Prophecy is something that is built on hope and faith. And true prophets, real prophets, are grounded in love. Before Jeremiah even existed, ever, before he was even a thought anywhere, God had already given him the tools to be what he would become. Now you have to understand, Jeremiah does not believe that he could become that. He doesn't even have the hope He is hopeless when it comes to being a prophet. He does not understand how he could ever possibly be a prophet. This is important for you to understand, that as a child of God, you cannot sometimes perceive in your mind how on earth you could ever be as God is. But it was never up to you to give yourself that. Thank God, God is the fabric on which we are created. Love is the fabric from which we all come from. And so even before we even existed, God knew what we would become. Now that's important to understand, that the fabric of hope and faith, and particularly the fabric of love, which comes before all of them, is what you have to understand. Now, if you are a hopeful person, that is the start of everything. Because if you can hope, if you can see the possibility of something. See, a hopeless person's dangerous because they can't see the possibility of something happening. But see, a hopeful person can see the possibility. Now, they say it's possible, but I don't know if it will happen. But it's possible. That's the beginning. Now, the next level is when you understand that it is not only possible, but it will happen, because it is the reality. It is the reality. You speak that reality into existence. It's a totally different thing. And Jeremiah was ordained to be a prophet. A prophet, the simplest way we understand prophet and prophecy, the simplest way I say, is someone who speaks about that which is to come, which means there must be faith. Now, why I speak about specifically prophets and quoted from the book of Jeremiah. Mind you, this is the book of Jeremiah. Why I spoke from the book of Jeremiah about Jeremiah is because Jeremiah himself did not believe he was a prophet. The ultimate paradox, the ultimate irony. And the irony is this: there is a book on this man, and this man initially did not believe that he was what he was. But God prefaced it by telling him he was preordained to be that. And then God did this. God told him how he fashioned him and formed him. And then he touched him. See, Jeremiah felt as a child, it's cool to be a child. It's cool to be honest about what you think you are. Because from that point on, what you become, you remember what you were. It's important to remember what you were as to what you become. See, that keeps you grounded. That keeps you humble. That keeps you malleable. That keeps you usable. But not in the way how they like to preach it to you in church. No. See, it keeps you at a level where you can observe everything. You can see everything. If you try to be too full of yourself, you will not see. Your eyes, your mind will become clouded. And you can't see anymore. And you get blind. And you get so blind that you lose hope. But if you're humble, you can see everything. See, because God is humble. See, God is not proud. That's why God can see everything and hold everything up. Because if God was proud, God would declare his presence, and then a lot of life would die. But see, God wants all life to exist and all existing things to exist as much as is possible. So God doesn't go interfering with things he's not supposed to interfere with. because he feels full of himself. Do you know something that's full can't get fuller? When something's full, it's full. You can't add to it more. Otherwise, what happens? It overflows. It can't get fuller. So, similarly, God has so much abundance that he has no need to be more abundant than he already is, because he's ever abundant. You can't get more abundant that's redundant, and it's redundant without purpose. He says, I can give you the overflow. So what happens after the overflow? I overflow more. How can you overflow more? It's redundant. So God doesn't need to be filled like we need to be. We always need affirmation. We always need to be filled. He doesn't need it. And the day you come to the point where you don't need affirmation, you don't need to be filled by anything, because you already are, is a totally different story. So anyway, let's go on. The point I am speaking about is your destiny. It is your destiny to be as the Most High is. It's ironic when Lucifer tried to take it, because it cannot be taken. When he tried to take it, he lost out. But when it is given to you as the gift of eternal life, as the abundance is given to us, we are as he is. And whatever God does, so can we, and so will we. It is inevitable. And this is important for you to understand. Jeremiah was given something. Now, he didn't know what he got. In fact, he so didn't know what he got, he questioned the Lord God who spoke to him concerning what he got. In fact, he said, no. I cannot do those things, because at the time he had no hope in that stuff. Like I said, this is not a fable. This is not some story given to control the masses as they would love you to believe. No, this is a lot more powerful than that. This is the real thing. And I empathize with the people who believe that religion is the opiate of the masses. I understand where you are coming from, my friends, because they do use religion to control people and divide them. But make no mistake, people, this was not something configured by a human. Now, whether you want to call it Christianity, whether you want to call it something else, whether you want to call it whatever religion you call it, I do not care. It is not about labels for me. It never was. I always ask different religious people certain questions, because they take it as fact and they never understood what it was they were saying. I will tell you again, so that all of you can understand in a language all of you can understand, that separates all that religious hocus pocus for a minute. I said it again, and I'm going to say it again. And even the Bible and all the holy books in some way, shape, or form will say it in their own language. God is love. And if you aspire towards love, you will learn how transformative it is. Whether you believe that love is a thing, some of you believe that love is an emotion. Some of you believe that love is an attribute or a quality. Some of you believe that love is a virtue. Some of you believe that love is good. Whatever you believe about love, you are about to learn more about it. I can tell you for a fact, no matter what version of love you're talking about, you will not be the same because of it. But I love to tell people this, that love is the fabric of life. It is funny how words, in and of themselves, reveal other words. It is funny how our mannerisms in life and our behavior is so abstract, and yet we are concerned with the abstractions as if they are, in fact, tangible things. There is so much metaphor in what we say and what we do, and yet we are willing to say that all of those metaphors are not true. Our conversation, my very conversation with you right now on this social media, is in the form of metaphors. You can't visually see what I'm telling you, but pictures come up in your mind as I speak to you right now. That is something called spiritual. It is spiritual what is happening at this present time. And yet, it is so natural that most of you will discard it and say there's no such thing as spiritual things. And yet, what is happening right now, the sound waves that are hitting you right now, you are interpreting those sound waves in electrical signals called thought in your brain. All of this is happening, and you are interpreting those sound waves as they hit you by associating them with things you know. That is highly spiritual. Not the sound waves, which are literal things, but the particular thoughts I am carrying across to you at this present time are very spiritual. To deny that invisible things have profound impact on visual things and sensory things is to be someone in denial of the very essence of what we call life, which is not definable, by the way. It is not, and everybody knows this. We have tried in science to define what life is, and we still cannot define it because we've realized there are many other attributes and ingredients to life rather than just existence. Something existing does not mean that it is living. That is why we still have this incredibly complex question of what is life. We explore it over and over again in science fiction, in our art, in our commerce, in our conversation, in science, and in business. We constantly question, what is it? To exist is one thing. Walls exist, houses exist, buildings exist. But to be sentient and to have sentient life and to have a sentient life that is full, what is that? We do not know. We cannot describe it. We cannot quantify it. We cannot put parameters for quality. Certain things cannot be answered unless we delve into the spiritual. It is just what it is, whether you believe it or not. So I'm going to go now into what we're going to talk about today, which is highly spiritual. And like I said before, every single thing you look at is a reflection in some small way of our personal reality as well as the reality we live in. People cannot, and they never will, ever be able to relate to something if it does not have some familiarity to it. You cannot relate to something that's unfamiliar. Therefore, whatever you see that you like and you enjoy, it means you have at some level related to it. Which means that there is a certain degree of reality to it that you harmonize with. And I want to tell you, most of the times, this reality is in the form of a metaphor. And this metaphor, as with all metaphors, are actually spiritual. It reflects on something you remember. It's like something you remember. And it is that comparison that brings you to relate to it. Whether it is a fraction of a memory, or if it is some nostalgia, something you relive as you're watching it. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about some of the deleted scenes from Justice League. And we have a couple other things to talk about. So this here is a scene with Superman and Cyborg. And they are, as you can see, about to separate the mother boxes. Now this could be from Joss Whedon's representation of what was going on, but it was removed from the film. Or it could possibly be from Zack Snyder's. I would assume this is Joss Whedon's deleted scene, a deleted scene from what Joss Whedon was going to probably pull this from. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely incorrect. Who knows? But it is beautiful and it's grand to watch. I like this view. Okay? I really do. It's a beautiful view. I notice Whedon more stuck to two-dimensional views as much as possible. Very cheapened the look. Not a lot of variety to it. I got one more for you guys, which is Cyborg. This is Cyborg inside of what looks like Star Labs. It could be possibly Star Labs, or it could be inside of the ship. And you can see there was some destruction in there, which means that the Justice League actually had a fighting scene inside of the ship. Alright? There's some destruction in here, as you can clearly see. And we know there was a scene inside of the, I believe it was inside the ship, where the Justice League had to fight somebody. So it seems as though there was a lot of fighting going on. I don't know if it was Superman they were going up against. I don't know what it was. But it was absolutely removed from the movie. And from what we heard from, I'm trying to remember if his name was McGraw. Was it Tim McGraw? I can't remember. The guy who played the prison officer. He was saying that there was supposed to be this big fight scene at the beginning of Justice League. So that would be interesting in Heroes Park. And then they probably flash back or whatever. So that sounded even more interesting. So I would have loved to know what that was all about. But Ray Fisher, a Cyborg here. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. One thing about Zack Snyder, you got to admit, everybody will admit, is that he really was dead on with the casting. Whoever was casting for these characters, and then after they casted for them and they came in, and Zack picked whoever he was going to pick for, he did a spot-on job. I mean, Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, okay, Henry Cavill as Superman. Everybody agrees these embody the characters, right? Ray Fisher as Cyborg embodies it. You know, Ezra Miller as the Flash, you know, embodies that. You know, Jason Momoa as Aquaman embodies it. You know, for the Aquaman they were going for. So dead on with the cast selection. Now, Ray Fisher, this is Ray Fisher's account here. Let me just come out of this for a minute. All right, this is Ray Fisher's account. I'm following Ray Fischer, by the way. I'm not inside of Twitter right now, but I'm following Ray Fischer. Ray posted this up 20 hours ago, as you can clearly see. This is from his Twitter. And it got me a little concerned, but then after looking at it, it probably is because he's doing a... it's very provocative, but he's in London right now doing it looks like a play with some cast here. And here you see him with the Hot Brown Honey crew, and they're slaying it in London right now. Get ready, London and Comic-Con. I'm coming for you tomorrow. This was July 26th, okay? And he was performing out there. Look at them. And this is Lake Fayette here. This is June 13th. Beautiful place. And something with Kersey Clemens here. Fruit Trilogy. Kersey Clemens and Liz Mikkel. You see a coconut up there. You see avocado. And you see an onion, it looks like. Or no, maybe a pomegranate. By Eve Ensler. Directed by Mark Rosenblatt. Lucille Tortel Theater. Kersey Clemens actually does some theater as well. And there she is. And they performed June 2nd to June 23rd. We know Kersey Clemens was cut out of Justice League. She also had a role in there. She was going to be Iris West. And they removed another black person from Justice League. So I don't know what's going on. But they were just cutting out these people, man. You know. And so anyway, let me just go on to what I wanted to say. This is Ray here again. J Square Photography, styling Ashley Norton and stuff. Guy trying not to blink is really cool. See Ray there. Well, anyway, Ray got a beard. And this was Ray again. You know, Ray is very vocal about releasing the Snyder Cut at present. He's got his mustache and beard and stuff. And he was up in London Comic-Con very recently. And we saw some photos of him and some other people. And he was saying, you know, he advocated for releasing the Snyder Cut as well. I'm not quite sure what sign they're making here. This could be the 666 sign. I don't think so. This is L, and this is... I'm not quite sure what they're saying here. This could be Borg Life. Yep, it's Borg Life. This is a B, and this is L. Borg Life. You gotta love Ray, man. He always be hitting you with Borg Life straight through, man. Cyborg Life. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Cyborg is one of my favorite Justice League characters. In fact, he is right now currently my favorite Justice League character, especially how Zack Snyder was depicting him. And even in the Justice League, I saw the chopped up theatrical cut. He was one of the most convincing characters. Really enjoyed him. Really enjoyed Cyborg. And it's one of my favorite characters right now in the DCEU. In fact, he is the favorite character. To me, he's better than Superman. He's better than Batman. He's better than Wonder Woman. For me, Cyborg is the ultimate superhero character I would love to see more of, because this character is so... there's so much going on with this character that I would love to see more. And I would love Ray Fischer particularly to play this role, because I believe he is just like he was born to play it. Okay? And the performance by Ray and the performance by his mother, which was ripped out of the film Justice League, you know, I don't know if they're reserving it for a Cyborg film. I gotta tell you, man, it is something that I would love to see on the screen. This is why I think we need to release the Snyder Cut. But even further than that, what I really wanted to say to you guys is that Ray came out with this. And this came out 20 hours ago. So that would be on the 5th of August. Okay? He said, "Comes the dawn." And this is a poem. And this poem is by Veronica A. Schofstall. Now, I don't know if he's literally referring to his end of his journey with Warner Brothers in terms of Cyborg. I hope not. It is a very provocative thing he's put out. It's very cryptic, and I hope this is not Warner Brothers trying to end his contract with him and not renew it. You know, Kersey Clemens was supposed to be there. She's a black person. They did not allow her to be seen in Justice League. Ray, it's always these black people that are starting to shaft And you know, I just don't like it. I don't like the feel of it. I don't like it. And Warner Brothers constantly keeps on doing some things that just irritates and gets the fans angry. Cyborg is one of the most beloved characters you could ever have. So I'm hoping that they're not that stupid, that they would take the perfect cast for Cyborg and literally sack Ray. This is the thing I'm wondering about. Anyway, let me just read the poem to you guys. I don't think Warner Brothers is that stupid. If they are, then they really are stupid, because they're just making some really stupid decisions. But it comes to dawn. After a while, you learn the subtle difference between holding a hand and chaining a soul, saying that somebody could be in bondage. You learn that love doesn't mean leaning, and company doesn't mean security. This is very true. You begin to learn that kisses aren't contracts and presents aren't promises. And you begin to accept your defeats with your head up and your eyes open, with the grace of a woman but not the grief of a child. And you learn to build all your roads on today, because tomorrow's ground is too uncertain for plans. And futures have a way of falling down in mid-flight. After a while, you learn that even sunshine burns if you get too much. So you plant your own garden and you decorate your own soul, instead of waiting for someone to bring you flowers. And you learn that you rarely can endure, and you rarely are strong, and you rarely have worth. And you learn and learn. With every goodbye, you learn. Now, a lot of us was like immediately, why did he post this up? You know, we follow him because of the WB. Now, it could be that he just posted this up because he's, you know, working with a certain crew, and they were up in London and now they're somewhere else, and he posted this up. But I strangely don't believe that. I believe that this may have something to do with Warner Brothers, and they not wanting to renew his contract, because or they wanted to renew his contract, putting him as a slave to them, and he wanted to have the freedom to speak what he wanted to say. Whatever it is, Sierra and Hines, he will speak whatever he has to say. And I hope that Ray Fisher, he's not in bondage to Warner Brothers like that, or if this has anything to do with Warner Brothers. I do certainly hope they are not stupid enough to get rid of Ray Fisher. That would be one of the dumbest things they would have done in a very long time. Now, I've been looking, there was rumors, and these are all rumors, so don't take them seriously, but there were rumors that he was supposed to appear in the Flash movie at a certain point in time. And, of course, things change, and they were, you remember Jeff Johns was talking about Flashpoint Paradox with the Flash, and I don't know if that's up in the air anymore with the Flashpoint movie, or if it's going to be just a straight Flash movie. Now, some people are like, yeah, we want a Flash origin movie, and I'm like, no, you should have done Flashpoint. And I'm going to tell you why Flashpoint is very important. Flashpoint gives you the opportunity to not reset your universe. It gives you the opportunity to see the multiverse for what it is. And it would have been a very good movie, seeing that we have already seen a lot about the Flash. He's running on CW anyway. You could go to something else. You could tell another piece of the story that's beyond what already we've seen in the CW. Now, Batman has not been in the CW or in any universe whatsoever. Superman has not been in any universe whatsoever. But the Flash has been in the universe currently. He was on TV. So this Flash that we have is a new Flash. He's a different Flash from the one in the TV. So you don't go trying to tell his origin story, which is cool and everything. You could probably do that part of it in Flashpoint. But you want to tell Flashpoint first. Again, a lot of these people don't understand what the DCU is doing. The DCU does not have to give you an origin story for everybody. The DCU doesn't have to do that. It don't have to be. The beauty of the DCEU is this: they don't have to follow none of the conventional rules of how you introduce a character anymore, because they've already sort of launched a universe and done what they had to do, introducing you and getting attached to characters devoid of knowing their perfect origins. You're now getting the origin of Aquaman. Well, not even the origin of Aquaman. You're getting to know him as Aquaman. He's growing on you. He was introduced in Justice League, and now you're getting to see his development. Shazam is going to be an origin film for sure. That's going to be just, straightforward origin film. And I find it, you see, for me as a creative person, I do not want to see the usual road that was trodden. Now, the average person is, influenced by media and all these things. But for me, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see your usual beaten pathway, right? I don't need that. So what I loved about Man of Steel, and what makes Man of Steel so different to every other Superman film we've seen before, is that the way how the story was told was not in the beaten pathway that we've seen before with Superman. And it emphasized on some meaty things, on some real things. All of the Superman movies before that, none of them emphasized on Superman being an alien to human beings. And what does that mean? None of them. It was Zack Snyder introduced that aspect to the game because he knew what Superman was. Similarly, the Batman we got that embodied what Batman is. Even my brother, who doesn't know nothing about comics, he said that was what Batman was in Batman v Superman. It was like, that's Batman, And it's amazing how people say like, yeah, that. Zack Snyder nailed it on the head. And all those so-called Batman purists who didn't know shit about Batman's history, they don't know anything about him. And as we go through Batman's history, we begin to realize how much Batman killed people and what Batman is about, what Batman really represents, what Batman is about. We started to see how much Zack Snyder was right about Batman. Like, he got Batman. And the reason that was able to be so is because one of the advisors on BVS on how Batman should be was one of the people who wrote on Batman. And the guy who everybody talks about, The Dark Knight Returns, right? Okay? Literally, the writer of The Dark Knight Returns was an advisor on BVS. Which is why he gave Ben Affleck the thumbs up. He'd never given the thumbs up to any of the other Batman movies, including Tim Burton's Batman. He gave the thumbs up to how Ben Affleck performed Batman. Why? Because you understand that they were looking to isolate the essence of what Batman is. Not even Christopher Nolan's Batman. This guy gave a thumbs up to Frank Miller, that is. Frank Miller hated all the other Batman iterations except Ben Affleck's Batman. He literally gave Ben Affleck's Batman a thumbs up. And that don't happen with Frank Miller. Okay? And Frank Miller doesn't like any of his comic books coming to life on the screen. He doesn't like it. Okay, he said, this is a work of art. This is something that's done. You don't rip it off by trying to put it. He gave Ben Affleck's Batman a thumbs up. Okay. Wonder Woman. Everybody agrees. All right? Everybody agrees that the casting for Wonder Woman was dead on. The Wonder Woman movie was a life changer, and it sparked all these movements, the Me Too movement, etc. Really blossomed it into something really powerful and impactful because women for the first time saw what Wonder Woman really is and what she represents. Thanks to Patty Jenkins and Zack Snyder. Okay? You gotta understand, Warner Brothers, what you got. Ray Fisher started to embody, even if it was just a little spark of it, because we couldn't really see what he really was about because you guys chopped up his film. You chopped up the Justice League movie. I don't know why you would do something stupid like that, but you did it. You did it because you want to play to the kids and the toys, right? The kids and the toys. You're so short-sighted. You're so narrow-minded. You couldn't understand the bigger picture for the kids so that you could sell your toys. The greater moral of the story. You allowed Wonder Woman to flow, but Patty had to fight you over it. Okay? She had to fight you over it. All right? Zack Snyder is coming time and time again with something meaningful for little 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds to watch. Little 2-year-old and 3-year-olds watching Man of Steel and loving it. The little kiddies. And they grow up and they get 1 or 2 toys. They get some toys. But more importantly, you're shaping the minds of the children of tomorrow who will be the men and women of tomorrow. You're shaping their minds. And you got to give them something. When I saw Tim Burton's Batman way back in the day, in 1989, I was a teenager at the time. It opened my mind to what Batman really is. To this day, people use the line, "I'm Batman." It come from Tim Burton's Batman. That's why most people know about that. Tim Burton. Big impact on comic book movies. And yet you guys sacked that guy. You sacked him on Batman Forever. You just didn't. You're so short-sighted, man. Makes me want to curse sometimes. You're so short-sighted. You have everything that is necessary to bring something of worth, something that can really change the world, and then you come and you stifle the very creative minds that can make a big difference. You stifle these people and you try to get money. And you never get the money because you're so stupid and short-sighted. It's the stupidity I don't understand. So, there we go. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'm hoping they didn't sack. Warner Brothers didn't sack or not really knew Ray Fisher's his contract. I'm hoping that he's still with them, because that will just give us the fans of the DCEU who are fans of the DCEU, would just give us one more reason to just forget about them. And someone will even use the forbidden word boycott Warner Brothers and their DCEU. God forbid we use that word. But you are making us more and more resentful, Warner Brothers. If this is the case, it's Ray Fisher. If you guys sacked Ray Fisher, you know what I would suggest? I would suggest that if this is going on, if this really is going on, whether it's fueled by Jeff Johns or whoever is doing this, I would suggest very strongly to people like Ray Fisher and to people like Zack Snyder, I would suggest very strongly that, we as fans, one, we would want to meet with Zack Snyder and Ray Fisher and Junkie XL, because they unceremoniously as well dropped off Junkie XL. I would like to meet with Kirsten Clemens. I would like to meet with Ciarán Hinds. I would even want to meet with Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, and all these people who are basically they become the cornerstones of the beginning of the DCEU. I would love to meet with them and talk with them, and a group of fans, a whole bunch of fans, whether it's through Comic-Con or wherever, just to meet these people and just have a conversation with them. I'm not going to say what we're going to converse about. We just have a nice conversation. That's all. As fans to these people, because I feel like we have an obligation to do something about that and to still pursue. I know Henry Cavill right now, he has his own company and everything, to pursue the completion of these things, because I feel like we are obligated to do something positive with it. That out of these bad circumstances, something positive should happen. I'm not going to tell you exactly what I have in mind, but I do believe we need to Skype them or something. We need to contact these people, because I believe we as the fans, we have a certain kind of purchasing power that we can divert towards the completion of these efforts and to see these things through. If a major company does not want, for instance, to put out the Snyder Cut, that we can collaborate, because it's all about collaboration at the end of the day. I mean, you think about it, we give sometimes a director credit, but it's a lot of collaboration goes on behind the scenes. But what I do not understand is when corporate heads, and there's a to and fro between the corporate budgets and the creators themselves. I know there's a usual dialogue and there's a to and fro and all of that. I understand all of that, but I do not understand when you're bullying. As a corporate body, you're trying to bully the creative arm, which is the thing that brings you the money in the first case. You're trying to bully them into a certain direction. That is not right. And that goes for everybody who is in the administrative arms of these companies, who's trying to get a buck across and trying to also make some money for themselves. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to the creative arm? Ryan Johnson, I give Ryan Johnson all the credit in the world, and I'm glad that J.J. Abrams, again a controversial subject, but J.J. Abrams started off by giving Ryan Johnson a lot of kudos. And Ryan Johnson has gotten so much flack by the Star Wars community, by a lot of haters everywhere. And I'm going to say this again because I don't care if I sound popular or not. I ride with Ryan Johnson on this. And I truly believe that he put out a good film in terms of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and I ride with him. It may be an unpopular opinion. I also ride with my boy James Gunn. This has nothing to do with Disney. This has nothing to do with the MCU. This is James Gunn. I ride with the creative person, and I'm riding with him mainly because I believe that he unjustly was victimized for something that if you were to try and do that to everybody in Hollywood right now, there ain't going to be nobody with no damn job, including the executives. So if this is the way they want to go, then you might as well find dirt on everybody. All right, because I find it just wrong. It's just there's some moral and ethically wrong things going on right now, and I don't believe it, man. I don't believe this is the nonsense that we have to deal with. Just coming from a moral and ethical perspective, again, I feel like this is some evil. You trying to dig up skeletons in the man's closet, which they're not really real skeletons. It's not like the guy is truly a pedophile. If he was, then he would straight up be showing signs of being a pedophile. Take, for instance, the guy who they had to remove from the Sony project, which was, I forgot what it is, this big, powerful conglomerate. The actor is a great actor, by the way. Fantastic actor, but he had been molesting and raping young men and young guys, right? That dude, he's a fantastic actor. What's his name? I forgot his name now. I can see his face, but I can't. You guys know who I'm talking about. But he was showing the signs all along if you was paying attention. All right? But James Gunn, he's a comedian, first of all. And second of all, it's not like he was the only comedian doing that back then. There was a lot of comedians making those kinds of weird jokes. There was a lot of cross-dressing comedy, and we still have it to this day, where Hollywood tries to get men to dress up as women and stuff. There's all of this strange, weird, really screwed up comedy to talk about, being molested, a guy being molested, jail jokes, teenage boy jokes. All right, that was the time, 2009, 2008, 2007, 2006, all the way back. This was some of the jokes that they came from, and they had these edgy, weird, provocative jokes. And I'm not saying that they're good. They weird as hell, but it's a time when people was making those jokes. All right, it wasn't as PC as it is now. And for somebody to go all the way back to 2009 to point out these kinds of jokes that this guy put up on Twitter, all right. That's weird. That's weird. When you have to go all the way back to 2009 to fire a dude. So you literally trying to set up this dude to fire him, James Gunn, for his 2009 jokes, which he already repented of, never did again. Okay? He never did those jokes again. All right? And he is a comedian. That's what he do. Okay? And you dig up that stuff on him. You know this is comedy, right? And they will say, well, Roseanne Barr, she didn't. Roseanne Barr, first of all, Roseanne Barr been making those racist jokes straight through. All right, not through her career, but she's been of late making them. These are recent stuff. And even then, when you listen to her apology, it is half-hashed. She still is trying to maintain, she's taking a political position and all kinds. She's trying to justify her jokes, which are not justifiable. They are wrong. James Gunn admitted his stuff was wrong. That's why he stopped doing it. And that's why he realized those jokes backfired. He didn't use those jokes no more. They're jokes. Literally, it was material he was trying to use. So, if, I heard somebody on YouTube, John King, I'm going to point you out, I'm going to call you out, bro. he was saying, it was on his mind, so therefore he's a pedophile. And I'm like, dude, you serious? So it's not on his mind now? Why isn't he making the jokes now? Why isn't he making the jokes in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14? Why he stopped making those jokes then? He was making them. They didn't work. He stopped them. Why? That means he's a pedophile. He revealed he was a pedophile. He revealed he was a rapist. He revealed that he wanted to commit suicide. He did suicide jokes. He did rapist jokes. He did pedophilia jokes. He did atheist jokes. He did he does all these edgy jokes. That's where the guy came from. If you ever watched any of his movies, he made jokes about Satan. He made jokes about all kinds of stuff that is just no go, no PC. They're not PC jokes at all. It was edgy. All right, that's what the dude do. He's a provocateur. He'll provoke something out of you. All right, he do taboo jokes. Okay, he did race jokes. All right, this is what these guys do. They do what are called inflammatory jokes. They provoke you to want to say something, but they're making a joke out of it. But he stopped doing that because some of them jokes just didn't work. And he went back to say that was a bad joke and so on. So does it mean because he's talking these jokes, it means he is that? No. Right? He's trying to go as provocative as he possibly can. He's trying to push the boundary on how far he can get people to laugh about atrocious things. That's one of the ways how some of these comedians go. They try to push the line to see how far they can go. And that's what James Gunn was doing. That's all he was doing. He was exploring how far he can go. And there are different comedians that do these things in different forms. All right? And there's a difference, a completely big difference between that and somebody who actually is involved in such a lifestyle. And literally to try and cover up that or to bleed out their pain, they make a joke about it. It's a totally different thing. Right? And the fact that they had to go all the way back to if what's his name? If James Gunn was so into pedophilia or rape or anything like that, he wouldn't just make those jokes in 2009. He would have been making them up to recently. He just realized the jokes don't work. So he stopped with them. And Ryan Johnson went back and he said, I'm going to delete a lot of stuff from my Twitter because you never know. Somebody might go back in my Twitter, see something that's on PC. I might lose my job for it. And he's right. Because now people are ticky-tacking different people and targeting them and deciding this is how I'm going to destroy this person. And they build a rumor around them and then they can take down whoever they want to. And they targeting men now because, that's the end thing right now because we got the Me Too movement. So they're going to target guys mostly. Not so much women. They'll target guys. So let's be real out here and stop the BS. Stop BSing behind PC. So, yeah, I back James Gunn. Because I think not because he's a good director, but also because you don't go looking for a guy trying to find dirt on a guy and look at the guy. They're going to look. You have a walking trash can trying to find dirt on this guy. And people actually buy into it and he loses his work for that. You know how much people do worse things than he has done and they still got a job? So come on, man. Some of those same executives in the MCU, in Disney, they got worse reps than this dude. So this is how we're going to do it? This is how we're going to go down? Is it about heaping dirt on people? Dirt on people from their past? Really? You're going to do that? Really? Then it's on then. It's on then. Just remember, the guy who pointed the finger, he's still a nasty son of a gun that's unrepentant. To this day. He a nasty slime ball. And it's nasty slime balls like that who are unethical, who are trying to bring down somebody who is much more ethical than they are, and creative on top of that. Really? That's how it goes, huh? That's how we're going to play it, huh? You know why James Gunn stepped down? He had a creative difference with Disney. That's the real story. And they trying to mess up his career. And we know this. You can smell it from the get-go. Just like how we can smell from the get-go that Donald Trump is trying to destroy democracy in the United States of America, along with Putin, Vladimir Putin. They're trying to play a dirty game. They're trying to weaken America so they could take it over and make it, like I said, the USSR. They're trying to make a circle of power right now. Everybody can see it. It's plain as day. So, it's up to you guys, man, to realize what is going down. And some people are really doing things in a dirty, nasty way. It's dirty and it's nasty and it's low. And stop getting misdirected and tricked into thinking, oh, yeah, well, James Gunn was never a good guy because he's from the MCU. So you already picked a political side, and it's pedophilia is wrong. And you going down the road about pedophilia, John King. You going on the road about pedophilia when it never was about pedophilia. Shit, it wasn't even about rape. It wasn't even about the jokes he was making. It was about Disney trying to get rid of him. But you gone down the wrong rabbit hole. They got you. Easy. Because they know people like to find dirt on other people and say, gotcha. Especially if they're on the opposing team. All of a sudden your standards change. It's like, gotcha. I give Disney props for allowing Rian Johnson to accomplish his own vision. Even though there was a big outcry about a lot of the fans, Star Wars fans, over the movie that they saw. It was authentically Rian Johnson's vision. The director has to live and die by that. At least, for once, Disney had allowed the creative director to do what he wanted to do. And J.J. Abrams applauded him, rightfully so, as another director to the other, because he's now going to do the payoff to that film, which is in the sequel. And no matter what these small-minded fans say about Star Wars, because I listen to all their critiques and it's never a big picture critique. It's never about Star Wars was just too deep. And what is happening to fandom now, especially certain kinds of fandom that is dangerous, is some of them are shallow. Some people are very shallow. Up to now, they don't realize that the Star Wars, The Last Jedi, was about resistance in our times to what is happening in our times, and how to take action in our times to what is happening. It basically furthered the narrative that was given by Wonder Woman, by Justice League, and now it also kind of connects with some of the narrative we saw in Black Panther, which sadly was just, chopped to hell in Infinity War, unfortunately. There was no continuance between Black Panther and Infinity War in terms of the kind of weight, depth, and the certain sort of story that was being carried forward. The transition was beautiful in terms of Black Panther, but then when you look at what Infinity War did with that, it just, oh my God, it just burned the shit to hell. It was like, whatever, and it is whatever, it's whatever. But it was beautifully set up for Infinity War. Black Panther pretty much set up what could have been a great Infinity War story. And they just messed it up. That's what it is. It's a piece of shit, as far as I'm concerned. But let me stop that. Let me stop cursing. So, at the end of the day, my point being that you have to be able to see through what is going on. I am so sad by what Warner Brothers is doing at present. They disappoint me big time. They fooled me too. And the sad thing about it is, I see CNN under fire. That's another Turner company. Turner and their products, Warner Brother Turner, have been always trying to be as consistent and as pro-human as possible. You look at them, they try to be objective, they try to be neutral, they try to be balanced in what they portray in today's world. And I'm really hoping that they would hold that line, that they would not compromise and, sway. They were the company of diversity, and apparently they're trying to move away to that, to Aryanism. If this is a move where they're trying to remove Ray Fisher as Cyborg and, Kersey Clemens as Iris West, these are two black faces. All of a sudden, they want to bleach up everything and make everything white. If you look at the next coming movies, Shazam, and you look at Aquaman, all of a sudden, all I'm seeing is white people. We got one black person in Black Manta in Aquaman, and in Shazam, I only see white people, boy. And the whitest of white. It's almost as if Warner Brothers said, you know what, we have to appeal to the white demographic. I mean, think about it. When you think of Infinity War, how many black people you saw in Infinity War? You got the token black people. You got Samuel L. Jackson. You got the guy who was Patriot. And you got Black Panther and his people. But you don't really see the key head people being black. Not a lot of black up in there. You get what I'm saying? And all of those things I'm just watching. It's interesting. It's interesting. Disney has CBS and they have NBC and they got ABC on cable television. But for all of their talk about democracy and all of this, they move very much like Donald Trump does. Right now they're trying to take over the comic book industry, and they're moving in a very unethical way like Donald Trump tried to take over America. They didn't care about no democracy. They didn't care about what other people think. They ain't gonna give you a dumbed down version, like Donald Trump did, dumbed down version of characters. I gotta give them their props though. Disney did well when it comes to Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and they went all out. You could tell they went all out. But see, Disney, when you keep on giving people dumbed down products, when you keep on giving them the MCU all the time, when you actually give them something that's of value, they spit at you, because what they expect from you is another dumbed down product. I'm gonna give you another one, because people are not respecting dumbed down. They're not respecting real products. Blade Runner 2049 is not respected. I'm gonna give you another one. The MCU. Time and time again, we got dumbed down products from the MCU. From the time of Doctor Strange, which was a dumbed down product. Then we came next with Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a dumbed down product. It had some substance in it, but it wasn't supposed to be anything with great depth. Okay, it had some substance in it though. Then we had Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was a dumbed down product. Then we had Thor: Ragnarok, the travesty of everything, which was a completely dumbed down product. And then finally we got something that was worth the while to watch, which was Black Panther. And then we had Infinity War, which is a dumbed down, incoherent piece of crap. Okay? Now, you tell me, if that's all you hitting your audience with, and most of your Star Wars fans now is becoming these MCU fans, they watch the MCU, when they see Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and it just so happens not to be just this dumbed down product where Luke Skywalker is just a hero wielding this lightsaber and he's doing all these great things that they expected him to be doing, when it's not the dumbed down, predictable storyline, they're going to protest. Because you created this monster. You created the precedent where everything is instantaneous and dumbed the hell down. You created it. Now we can't even see a proper movie. Sony has done the same nonsense. I'm looking at what's this upcoming movie that's coming up? It begins with V. You know what I'm talking about. The kind of Spider-Man looking gooey thing. I forgot what it's called. You guys know what it's called. And we look at that, it's a dumbed down product. Tom Hardy's in it, but I'm not interested in that movie 1 ounce. And now guess what? Looks like Warner Brothers is joining in with the stupidity. So now we're going to have dumbed down comic book movies all the way through. Shazam going to be a dumbed down product too. We can see it from the trailers. And who knows, maybe Wonder Woman will be dumbed down too. Well, already Wonder Woman 84 hints towards 1984, which it has some more depth to it. You can feel there's some oomph to it. I wouldn't be surprised Patty Jenkins and Zack Snyder had something to do with that theme and that title. Not Jeff Johns, like he's claiming. Because he don't want Zack in the picture. You can feel when he just want to push Zack out, right? So my point being, at the end of the day, that stories which have some kind of weight behind them, that is necessary for our times, to allow people to be motivated to do something, as Black Panther did, as Wonder Woman did, as Man of Steel did, as Batman v Superman did. They don't want you to have that kind of entertainment. They want you distracted. They want you dumbed down. They want you stupid. And if you speak up, and if the actors speak up, and if people speak up, they get punished for it. Is this what it is? Is this what we're dealing with? Is it about being on the plantation? And only Massa can tell you, you're not on the plantation anymore. You're an indentured laborer. Is that what it is about? That I ask you. Remember, love, hope, and faith. Love shows you what you really are, not what you think you are. You guys have a great one.